Hey there, I'm author Sarah A. Chrisman.
I'm Gabriel Chrisman.
And today I'm going to talk about writing my books by hand and why I do it.
And the whole details of the process.
That too, yes. So I write all my books by hand. Here we've got some of my manuscripts in front of us. And when I've written a nine novel series and a bunch of other stuff. And when I get an idea and I'm doing research for a book I want to write, I start by taking a notebook and flipping it to the back and writing my ideas, my thoughts, things that I have learned from other sources in the back of the notebook, and I've got all my notes. And then when I feel ready to start drafting the manuscript, I'll flip it around and write the manuscript from front to back. And then I've got all my notes to refer back to.
And quite often your books end up being multiple notebooks at that point because they fill one and then you just keep on going as many as you need.
Of course. But because I have written out the notes by hand, they tend to stick in my brain better than if I hadn't written them down at all. And also, writing things out by hand engages a different part of the brain than typing something on a screen. And all too often these days, what you'll see, and I've noticed this, it's gotten so much worse in the past few years, where so many books that come out these days are just copied and pasted from other books.
And sometimes they're edited so poorly that they repeat themselves.
Yeah.
And they haven't even sort of paid attention to the fact that they thought they moved it from one place to another, but in fact they just copied it and pasted it somewhere else as well.
Right. So they've not only just copied and pasted this, but they've additionally done a really terrible job of editing themselves in the copy-paste process. And so there are a lot of books coming out these days that aren't as good as the books that were published 20, 30, 40 years ago.
Absolutely. And I've noticed this as a librarian because I have to buy books and it's been hard to find good new books. It's just, you have to be a lot more careful now than you used to be.
Right, right. And that's not even getting into the AI stuff. And quite frankly, when someone tells me that they use AI to brainstorm, I know for a fact that person right there is lying to themselves, first and foremost. Let me repeat that. They are lying to themselves, first and foremost, and they're lying to me secondarily, lying to the world tertiarily.
And it's just because AI, especially using it to try to actually generate ideas, is a terrible idea.
Well, it doesn't generate ideas.
No, it simply remixes words in the ways that are most likely, statistically, to fit together for the response to that question. And
which is ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, and it also is not likely to generate anything new or interesting.
It's not possible to generate anything new and interesting when you're just remixing what's already been said.
Correct.
So by writing everything out by hand, I ensure that A, it's new, and B, it's from me, and from the muses, of course, because all creativity comes from the muses.
The other thing about doing it this way is that there are far less distractions involved in the process.
Yes, that's very true. And so what I do is I write everything out by hand, edit it extensively by hand, and when it comes to spell check, these nice hefty dictionaries here are my spell check. Also my grammar aids. And when I feel it is pretty darn good, that's when I type up what I have written into a word processing program, because that's how it has to be to get published. But when I do that, I have turned off all of the spell checks and grammar checks and all of the other aids that want to take my words from me and change them, because that is just anathema to creativity.
I am essentially her only editor. And so
well, I am my first and foremost editor.
True, of course.
You are my editing assistant.
And proofreader.
Yes, and the cats help too.
Yes, that's true.
They're sort of moral support. And I also, in the brainstorming process, I also read as many primary sources as I can. So as many sources written during the period I am writing about, I will read. And if I'm writing about an actual place that I have the ability to still go to, then I'll go there for getting ideas, for making observations. That's what I did for a lot of my Tales of Chetzemoka when I was writing the scenes in a town that was essentially based on the town where I was living at the time. I would go to the place where a scene was occurring to write various scenes to really get a feel for them. Now, right now, I'm writing a novel about the 1893 World's Fair. The White City, which was the Chicago World's Fair, and the whole city that they made for that event out of plaster. It was staff, which is plaster and hemp and a few other things.
It was an ephemeral place.
Yeah, it was an ephemeral place. It didn't. It lasted less than a year, so it's long gone. I can't go there, but I can read the books that were written about it. I can read the diaries and the other first-hand accounts that were written of it at that time. So that's my method of time traveling back to this place that I'm writing about.
And reading as much of them as you possibly can. It's not about finding one and reading it.
Right.
It's about getting all these different multiple perspectives in order to see your own view of it through all their eyes.
Exactly. Exactly. And having the judgment, which a machine does not, of saying, okay, this account of the fair is written from a perspective that is similar to this character. This other account is written from a perspective that is similar to none of my characters, but I can still get some information out of it that might be useful.
And that's the sort of human understanding that is possible, and it's what goes on when you actually read something thoroughly and in detail and from many different sources, and then make your own judgments and perspectives and everything else and turn that into a new work.
Right.
And that is something that no computer is capable of doing or even helping with.
Right, and computers just get in the way.
Correct.
When you're writing something out by hand, it is coming directly from you. And when I'm writing something out by hand, it's coming directly from me.
And it is using more of your brain to do that.
And it's using a completely different part of the brain than even typing something up. Even if you type something up and think of it, every single word yourself, you are still physically, neuroscience-wise, using a different part of your brain than if you're writing it out by hand. Now, if you do what a lot of people do and go a step further and just copy-paste from other sources, then that's not even coming from you at all.
Right. That's getting called patch writing.
Yeah, and there have been too many books published in the last few years, more and more of them, that you can tell that's what and I hesitate to use the word writer or author in this case, that is the person whose name is on the front has been doing. And it's not helpful to anybody. It's not putting new ideas out into the world. It's not enhancing society's understanding of this world that we live in. It's just taking things that have already been said and chopping them up and putting them in a very messy way out in a way that is less eloquent than the initial presentation of those ideas. And a lot of technology has been encouraging this, unfortunately. And if you do a careful read of, basically start with books that came out when the first word processors started to be popular.
So the late 80s and early 90s.
Late 1980s and early 1990s. And read some of those books very carefully, and then go through up until the current time, and you can see a shift in the writing styles. And what you're seeing is not just a shift in the style of what was popular. It's not just a shift in academia. It's not just a shift in art. It's actually a shift caused by technology, and a shift aided and abetted by the technologies and the way people were using them, and the way that those technologies were starting to control people's thought processes.
And this is absolutely true. The technologies that we choose and use every day change the way that we think, change the way that we see the world, change the way we interpret the world, and they really change the way we write.
Right, absolutely, absolutely. And for me, things that I write directly by hand, they come from me, but they come from the muses too. They come from the inspiration, which you can never get from a machine. And so that's the takeaway, that my books come from me and they come from the muses, which you don't get from something that's just produced by a machine. So I hope you'll all check them out. And I hope you have a great day. Hope you liked this video. If you did, give it a nice thumbs up. And happy reading!